Hi guys, welcome to my channel. I am so excited to start this channel with you guys. This whole channel is going to be dedicated to all things motherhood, baby care, just home life kinds of videos. This whole video is going to be about kind of what to expect if you have a preterm baby and what to expect out of a NICU stay. Now, keep in mind, every baby is different, every health condition is different, every complication is different. So this is just going to be your basic kind of what to expect. But like I said, just because my baby went through something or didn't go through something doesn't mean that your baby's going to go through it or not go through it. So just keep that in mind. But yeah, so we're just gonna jump right into it. My little girl is laying here right next to me, so I do apologize if there's little baby noises in the background and my kids are out there playing, but we're gonna do the best we can. So the first thing I wanna talk about is the water itself rupturing. If you suspect your water is broken, I do highly recommend, please contact your either your OB or your midwife and let them know, hey, I think my water broke. That way they can check you and confirm that yes, your water broke or no, it did not break. Because if your water did rupture, what happens is your baby's home has been compromised. It has been opened up. So now you're risking exposure for bacteria to get up inside there, and you are risking an infection to your your uterus, your amniotic fluid, your baby. So you definitely want to make sure that you get immediate treatment for that and not just let it go. Now, if your water breaks and you are not in full active labor, do not panic. You have time. If your bag is not packed because your water ruptured prematurely, do not panic. You have time. Now, what happens when you get to the hospital and you have a preterm rupture? Well, the first thing they're going to do is they're going to swab to check for that fluid because they want to confirm, yes, this is amniotic fluid, or no, this is not amniotic fluid. It's painless. It does not hurt. They just take a little swab for like 60 seconds and then they will send that off to the lab to get tested. Once they have confirmed that yes, your water has broken, they're going to send you to either labor and delivery, or they're going to send you to like a high risk OB floor, whatever your hospital has to hold you is where you're going to go, and you're going to be put on the baby monitor. They want to monitor the baby. They want to make sure the baby's not in distress. They're also going to put you at the contraction monitor. They want to see, are you contracting yet? Are you not contracting? Now, a lot of moms think that once your water breaks, it means baby's going to be here very soon. That is not necessarily the case. If you are not in natural labor, you are not having contractions, you are not dilating. Depending on how far along you are, what they will likely do is put you on antibiotics. They will put you on antibiotics, they will put you on hospital bed rest. And they will try to keep that baby in as long as they possibly can, typically until 34 weeks if possible. Now, a lot of that obviously depends on how you as the mama is doing and how your baby is doing. If you or baby are showing any signs of distress, any signs of infection, anything like that, then change of plans are going to happen. But typically that is what they try to do. They try to get you to that 34-week mark, which is their safety mark for getting a baby out. They feel that at that point your baby is big enough and old enough that your baby's going to do okay outside the womb, and the risk of continuing to keep your baby in is just too high and not worth it. So they will start you on antibiotics. They will keep you on antibiotics for the remainder of the time because obviously your water is ruptured, and at any time you could get an infection. They are going to do everything they can to prevent that. So you will be on a drip antibiotic for your remainder of your stay until your baby is ready to be delivered. Once that 34-week comes, or if you develop an infection, as I did with with this last baby, they had to deliver her a little bit before the 34-week mark. Once your baby gets here, what happens now? Now, this is another one of those questions that is very dependent on what gestation your baby is born at. I have had a 35 weeker, two 34 weekers, and a 33 weeker. So um, they've all generally been the same in terms of the post delivery care. But, you know, obviously, if you have like a 26, 27 weeker, the situation might be different. Also, I did forget to talk about one thing that I feel is super, super, super important. Um, it, Once you come in and you're verified to be in preterm labor and they cannot stop that from happening, they will want to give you what's called a beta shot. Now, a beta shot is a shot that they give you to speed up your baby's lung development. I believe it's called a beta, but essentially what it does is it um, develops your baby's lungs so that when your baby is born, because the lungs are not fully mature yet, it will help your baby to be able to take those first breaths without the struggle. So, believe it or not, I have heard moms don't always want the shot because it hurts, especially moms that have had it. I 100% recommend you get those shots. With all of my preemies, not a single one ever needed oxygen support. And I have gotten those shots with every single one. They give you two shots. I believe they're two shots, I believe 24 hours apart. Um, but they do wonders for your baby. Anyway, your baby is born. A lot of it is going to depend on, is your baby breathing okay? Is your baby's heart rate okay? Is your baby showing any signs of distress? Obviously, those things are going to, you know, change the game plan, what's going to happen with that child. For me, none of my babies had major issues after delivery. So they did the basics. They had the NICU team there. They checked the baby's oxygen, all of that, did the full evaluation of the baby. And my baby was stable enough that they were able to give me the baby for a couple minutes just to kind of love and hold before being sent off to the NICU. They will take your baby right away off to NICU. There up in NICU, they will do all their extensive checks. They will start your baby on antibiotics. If baby needs to be on antibiotics, they will put IVs in. They will, you know, do all that stuff, give oxygen support, anything that your baby may need, check your baby's sugar levels, stuff like that. Now, sometimes when your preemie is born, they have a hard time locating the veins. So IV inserts can be very difficult. My baby that I just delivered, they could not find her IVs or her veins to put an IV in. So they ended up doing an ultrasound IV, which is basically they put an IV in a deeper a vein via ultrasound guided, I believe. And so they're gonna do all that stuff while you're, you know, in recovery and getting taken care of down there. Now, what happens once your baby is stable? Again, keep in mind every baby is different. This is speaking from my personal experience and what my babies went through. The first thing is, do they eat right away? Now, I've noticed hospitals are different. I have delivered at different hospitals, and I've noticed they're a little bit different in terms of the waiting period to start feeding. So the hospital I just delivered at now, I waited 12 hours to start feeds. And at that point, if you're planning on breastfeeding, you're going to want to be pumping for your baby and taking that down. Now, the first milk that you produce is called colostrum. It's going to be a very, very, very small amount, but it is the good stuff for your baby. It is gold for your baby. It's got all the vitamins, all the probiotics, all the good stuff to get your baby started. Do not stress when you see how little you're pumping. That is totally normal. Until that milk comes in, you're not going to be pumping very much, but it's just enough for your baby. Keep in mind, your baby's tummies are very, very, very small. Now, if your baby is having more extensive problems, then maybe they will, not start feeds as soon, or maybe they're going to put a tube in, or who knows. But um, from my experience, my babies didn't have those issues, so they got to start their normal bottle feeds after 12 hours. Now, my first couple of babies I had struggled with feeds, so they did have a feeding tube put in. Now, the feeding tube is a teeny, teeny, tiny little tube, and it went right up their nose, and it had you basically syringe the food through the tube and down into their bellies. Each baby is going to be a little bit different how quickly they develop that grasp that feeding concept. One of my babies got it in a few days. One of my babies got it in almost a month. One of my babies got it right off the bat. So each baby's going to be a little bit different. Again, the gestational age of the baby's birth is going to also kind of dictate that a little bit too. Smaller babies don't have that kind of ability, so they will likely be put on a feeding tube right from the start. Again, that'll be the doctor's decision. So once the feeding is established, you're pumping, I would speak with your doctor and see if you are able to do skin to skin. Skin to skin is such a powerful thing for you and your baby. It helps your baby keep calm. It helps your baby feel safe. You as the mama is the only thing your baby has known all this time. Your scent, your baby's gonna recognize. Your heartbeat, your baby's gonna recognize. So those are very, very important moments for you and your child. Now, I understand some babies are in more critical state and they may not be able to, but if your baby's more stable, I do highly advise that you ask your doctor if you can spend a little skin to skin time. Baths. Now, they may give your baby a quick wipe down, but your baby may not get a bath for a little while. As long as they have that umbilical cord attached, they cannot get a full submerged bath. You cannot get that umbilical cord area wet. So they will do a little sponge bath. Now, sometimes your baby doesn't get one for a week. Sometimes your baby doesn't get one for a couple weeks. It just kind of depends on your baby's state. They're gonna put your baby in an incubator and with a warm light. Now, when babies are born super small and early, they don't have the ability to maintain their body temperature. So they have to be kept under a warm light to maintain that temperature for them. As your baby gets bigger, that is one of the things that they are gonna have to be off of in order to go home. It's on the go home checklist is be able to maintain their own temperature. So little by little, they will start decreasing the heat until your baby is completely off the heat and are able to just be swaddled and maintain their temperature that way. Every NICU is different as far as the NICU setup. I've had my babies in a NICU where it's like 4 babies in one room and it's just divided by a curtain. And this last NICU I was in, it was in my own personal suite with my baby in there, which was really neat. Had a pull-out couch, so I stayed there with my baby the entire time. So that's one thing to keep in mind if you are wanting to stay with your baby the whole time, is kind of how you can arrange that, if you can arrange that. While your baby's in the NICU the entire time, they are going to be kept on, they're going to have the pulse sock on to keep track of their pulse. They're going to have the heart rate monitoring. They're going to have the oxygen monitoring. They want to make sure that those babies are breathing well, their heart rate as well, all the good stuff. Babies that are born preterm have a tendency to have apneic episodes. Every hospital has their own kind of rule for what happens if my baby has an episode with their SATs. So the hospital I was just at now, if your baby had a Brady or anything like that, it's an automatic 5-day probationary period. because they want to make sure your baby's not going to be doing that when they're getting sent home. Again, hospitals vary from one to the other slightly about that. They have their own policies for that. But a general rule of thumb, just expect that if your baby does have any kind of oxygen heart rate issues, that your baby's going to be, their stay is going to be extended until they can maintain that stuff on their own. Having a baby in the NICU, one thing I definitely recommend is, if you, again, are able to, I highly suggest that you be hands-on as much as possible with your baby. For me, that meant changing my baby's diaper, checking my baby's temperature, which, by the way, they check every feeding diaper change session to make sure your baby is maintaining that temperature. But feeds, all that stuff, I definitely was very hands-on with my baby. I did a lot of cuddling with my baby. You just want to, hospitals are tough, and NICUs can get very emotionally exhausting. So you want to try to normalize your life in the NICU as much as possible. I understand every situation is going to be a little bit different in terms of that. But I do, for your own, sanity, and for your own comfort, try to normalize it as much as you can, as much as you would have it at home. Read books to your baby, sing to your baby, things like that can definitely bring a lot of peace during those challenging times. When your baby is in the NICU, you're gonna get a wristband like this one here. It is going to match daddy's wristband and baby's wristband. And you will need that wristband to get in and out of the NICU. There will be a unique number on there that you let them know what the number is. So make sure you keep those wristbands on. Those are my experiences with my hospitals. I don't know if other hospitals have like their own banding system or how that works, but from both hospitals, from all the hospitals I've been at, it's been that same way. Now, one thing I will advise, especially new parents who are going through this, is be your child's advocate, because NICUs are so by the book, and not every baby's going to meet milestones at the same time or the same way, and not every baby's going to be the same. So if there is something that you don't agree with or you have a question about, stand up for your baby. They can't speak up for themselves, so don't ever feel ashamed or bad for letting your doctor know, hey, I don't feel comfortable with this, or hey, I don't want this. Because at the end of the day, you are that child's parent. You are that baby's first line of defense against things that may potentially be harmful to him or her. So definitely stand up for your little one, and don't be ashamed to do so. If you feel uncomfortable something, if you feel like your baby is not in the best care, or you feel like your baby's not safe, or there's just something that you personally, for one reason or another, don't want your baby to have, speak up. Again, I didn't get my baby vaccinated with the Hep B. It's procedure at your hospital for them to give your baby Hep B. You can opt out of it. You can say, no, I don't want my baby to get that, and don't feel one bit ashamed about that. I want to go back to feeds, because I did forget to mention something. When babies are so tiny, even if you have a baby that is eating great from a bottle, or even breastfeeding, chances are they will either fortify your milk with human milk fortifier to make it a higher calorie, because breast milk is only 20 calories, and they may want your baby to be taking 22 to 24 calories, so they will fortify your breast milk to make it that amount of calories. They may also switch back and forth between your breast milk and a formula. And again, speak up if you have concerns about that. I don't like my babies to take formula as much as possible, and that's just my personal preference. That doesn't mean that's how you have to be or anything like that. But in this case with this baby that I just delivered, she did not like formula. She didn't like it, and she didn't tolerate it. And once she threw up, I was like, I'm done. She's not taking any more formula. She does not tolerate it. She does not like it. And it's counterproductive because at this point, she's not gaining weight. She's going to be losing weight because she's throwing up the formula. And that was it for formula. We did not give her any more formula. Instead, we were just fortifying my breast milk. So, you know, if you feel like something is off, or you're just like, nope, my baby's not doing well with that, I don't want her on that, or I don't want him on that, definitely you have every right to say so. You know, like I said, NICUs are just by the book, and you know your baby should be taking in this much and gaining this much, and if the baby's not gaining this much per day, then we're gonna do this much calorie. And it's just, you know, it's out of good intentions for your baby, but not every baby's the same. Also, make sure that you are constantly washing your hands in the NICU. I know it seems like a very like common sense kind of thing, but sometimes you just get caught up in walking into the NICU and seeing your baby, and you're like, oh my gosh, hi baby, and you know, you forget to wash your hands. Just always make sure you're washing your hands. That is so critical in NICUs. You do not want to give your tiny little baby any of those big germs that their little bodies cannot handle. The other thing I would recommend doing for your baby, if you can't hold your baby, because they're connected to things, or just are too little to be held, I definitely would recommend getting some kind of little, either little tiny blanket or little tiny cloths, like these heart ones that you can see in this little clip, and putting them on your chest and just leaving them there for several hours. That way your scent can get on them, and you can put them in there with your baby. That way your baby can at least have your scent in there, and they can feel comforted that way. I know this video has been super long. Thank you to everyone that has stuck around for the entire thing. My babies, even though they were preterm, they were all pretty healthy. Didn't really need too many interventions, so we had a pretty easy NICU stay, but it doesn't change the fact that you are ultimately in the hospital, in the NICU, feeling like you can't get your baby out of there soon enough. Just stay strong, keep your support system as close to you as you can. If I can answer any questions for you guys, leave them down in the comments. I will definitely go through and answer them in the best way that I can. But I hope this video was helpful to those of you that are going through this or are about to go through this. If there's anything else I can answer for you guys, please leave it in the comments. And otherwise, I look forward to seeing you guys in my next video. And if you guys have any video recommendations, please do share those. I'm super excited to make all these videos for you guys, and I'm always looking for new suggestions. So thanks so much for sticking around, guys, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye.